All right, well, it was a short wait, and here we are. Look at this, man. Look at these fans out here. You got to see traditional road racing. You got to see Trans Am, Global Time Attack, so much racing going on. And now here, it's the last lap of every race. They're wheel-to-wheel, door-to-door. This is Formula Drift, the biggest, the baddest, the best drifting sanction body on the planet. And we are about to see our first battle underway. We just talked about him, and here he is. He is on the start line. But you know what? Justin Pollock was to be there, and there he is. But look at this. He is going against OMG, WTF, JTP. There he is, and he is on the start line. But unfortunately, who he is supposed to go against, Chelsea Denofa, suffered not one car failure, but now two. His BMW and that Mountain Baker Vapor and the on GT radials. I mean, so many, sponsors on his vehicle. Unfortunately, the engine blew up, unable to run. Got a backup car from Tommy Van Cleef in that Mark II Supra. Then that thing had a transmission issue, messed up some synchros, and now he has to retire. So unfortunately, Chelsea Denofa's out. So it's an easy victory for our #1 qualifier, advancing to top 16. This is a bye run for the Roush Performance Falcon Tires Ford Mustang of Justin Pollock, JTP as he's simply known. So JTP, Justin Pollock, will advance on to the top 16. A thing of beauty there, an easy pass there for JTP as the Team Rowdy guys are already warming it up down there. We got Drift Scum in the building. I know they're here. Bunch of other crews. Southern Fresh, I saw them out here. Thank you to all the media. OMG Drift, Everything Drift, Speed Hunters, drifting.com, Amdrift. People watching all across the globe. Here is the first official battle of the 2015 Round 2 Road to the Championship here at Road Atlanta. Tyler "The Rock" McCory versus Pat Gooden. Both these guys housing V8s under the hood. Pat Gooden going with a few snails, little S-car go, as Tyler McCory has beat Pat Gooden in the past, Ryan. He's a 58% winning average. You can see that horsepower. Pat Gooden actually has a little bit more, living that turbo life. All right, so Pat Gooden qualifying 17th by comparison to Tyler McCory 16th. So one spot. This should be a fair match here, Ryan, as Tyler McCory will lead going through that start chicane. Pat Gooden dropping into formation, coming down the hill. Initiating is Tyler "The Rock" McCory into that first front clip. Now, Tyler McCory's initiations on that first front clip seem to be lifting off, but now he is completely standing on it. Pat Gooden is right there, out of the horseshoe, through the keyhole. As Tyler "The Rock" McCory, pulling away from Pat Gooden. So good showing from both these guys. But we were talking about Tyler McCory's initiation yesterday. He throw it in and kind of lift a little bit and then stand on it. But through the entirety of the course, he stood through it. Here we go.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely right, Jared. The judges were definitely talking about that dynamic initiation. You can see both drivers coming into the first corner together. It's definitely what we want to see. Now transferring up the hill is Tyler McCory. Nice job on that outer zone here. Let's see how deep he gets. He gets pretty deep into that second outer zone. Pat Gooden right in tow. Both drivers right on that second, that second inside clip. Then the transition down the hill here. Tyler taking that inside line, making sure Pat doesn't tuck his nose in there, and then crossing the finish line. So good run right there in the lead position by Tyler McCory, and Pat Gooden holding his own.
Okay, so now we're going to alternate the order. Pat Gooden will be out front in the Njuku Racing Twin Turbo S13 with the V8. As Tyler "The Rock" McCory, Mobil 1 GoPro Chevrolet Camaro on Falcon tires. He will be giving chase. And we are ready to send it here. Now that start chicane for your first round of watching Formula Drift, that's a start chicane. The intention of that is to evenly match them. The progression of the sport has just created these absolute rocket ships of vehicles going in that first initiation and that first clip. But now we're trying to equally match them and have them be synced up as Pat Gooden goes wide and then tightens it up to that front clip. Using the whole course is Pat Gooden charging up the hill. McCory is right there. As Pat Gooden gets to the outside clip, McCory dives in. Nice job by McCory in the chase position. Following that very nimble S13. some separation back up the hill. Like I said, a very evenly matched pair of drivers. I mean, mind you, they qualified 16th and 17th, so they are right there in the mix. Ryan, this is going to be a tough one to call.
Yeah, close battle here between these two great competitors here in the top 32. Our first battle of the afternoon. Tyler McCrory coming out with a pretty good, solid lead run. Right here coming up on the inside as Pat Gooden takes that first inside clip. Good transition back around by both drivers. Now coming up the hill, Tyler really tries to put on the pressure here. Nice job coming around this second outer zone here. Now you can see Pat Gooden, nice job on that inside clip. A little bit of separation here coming down the hill with Tyler McCrory falling back just a little bit as Pat Gooden takes that inside line, comes back around and hits that last inside clip. So no easy task for the judges here. A pretty fair matchup between both competitors. Good lead run and good chase run by both guys.
All right, so what do you think? We're getting some fans chanting one more time here. What do you guys think at home? Let us know. Join the conversation. Hashtag FDATL at Formula D on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you're here in the building, let everyone know they can watch formuladcom/live. Also, listen to 97.9. You can listen to our broadcast live. Here we go. The judges, Andy, Brian, and Ryan. Remember, slide left, it goes to Gooden. Slide right, it goes to McCrory. What do the judges say? Andy says Tyler the Rock McCrory. Look at that, Bryant. And they're going one more time. It's split across the board. 1, 1, and 1. There's only 3 options, and the 3 judges, they went all different directions. One more time, 1 for Tyler and 1 for Pat. So out of the gate, Ryan, we said it was going to be a pretty close paired battle.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see that one more time. And like you said, don't leave it in the judges' hands. And I think that was an evenly matched battle. I could see it going both ways, but I think it's good for the fans one more time.
I mean, they both, the only thing that I would kind of scrutinize would be Tyler's initiation. I mean, he's got the horsepower. He just needs to stay on it in the initiation point. Also, there was a lot of separation between Pat and Tyler when Tyler was leading. That was another thing. I liked how Pat used the whole course. Tyler has some opportunity to strike, and I think a case with those kind of drivers, who's going to make the larger mistake in this instance? All right, here we go. Moving on to our next battle, we'll revisit that Gooden and McCrory battle. Now, Mad Mike Widet, the Rad Bull. Car number 123 qualified 8th yesterday. He's going in against a vehicle that should have a rotary under the hood, but now, courtesy of Sickie Racing, has a V8 under the hood of that Mazda RX-8. That's driven by Virginia's own Dan Savage. So Mike Widet qualifying 8th will be out front. Dan Savage qualifying 25th will give chase. Here goes the debut head-to-head battle of Formula Drift U.S. competition for Mad Mike Widet, or for any competition in this instance. The 4-rotor twin-turbo MX-5 coming into the rear clipping zone using the whole course, tightening it up. A little bit of a hiccup there in the keyhole. Now coming out, scrubbing a lot of speed is Mad Mike. Now launching away. Ryan, in that, I really want to, when you dissect this run, this is the debut, the maiden voyage of this vehicle in any competition, but take a look as he exits the keyhole. It seemed to scrub a lot of speed.
Well, here we go right here on initiation at the number 2 cone right here. Mad Mike really tight on that inside clip. Now watch Savage coming up the hill. I think this is going to be the poignant moment of this battle. A big straightening right there by Savage. He has to reinitiate. Mad Mike stays in line, goes deep into that outer zone here, and then nice job on that inside clip. Transitioning down the hill right here, gives a little bit back to Savage. Savage closes the door just a little bit right there, but that straightening up the hill, I think that's going to be a pretty sizable mistake for Savage, and then a little bit of separation here towards the end. So Mad Mike should have an advantage on that first run, and we'll see how he comes around here on the second run with Savage taking the lead, Mad Mike in the chase.
I know for Mike, this vehicle, it's an absolute beautiful looking vehicle. I mean, under the hood, if you haven't had an opportunity, it's just for you rotary heads or regardless, just, techie guys, take a look at this vehicle. It's a great looking car under the hood, as well as just unique outside look aesthetic. That Mad Mike style, just drip style, as it's a really cool car. Dan Savage, he's got the horsepower. Man, that car looks very settled. This should be an interesting. So we are as Mad Mike Widet is on the start line, and Dan Savage, he is in the lead position. Mike Widet, and we are getting word. Just to clarify, don't want to speak too soon as Mad Mike Widet's spotter. Okay, It is confirmed. So it is confirmed. Mad Mike Wadette is calling a competition timeout. So we'll get Mike Wadette's vehicle off the start line. That means he has 5-minute allotment to get back to the start line in running order. Otherwise, he will have to forfeit this run, and Dan Savage will advance. So with a competition timeout, Dan Savage awaits on the start line. Mike Wadette gets hands on the car. 5 minutes. Otherwise, he has to retire from competition. When we come back, we'll see how this all unfolds here at Formula Drift.
We're for guys who wrench, torque, and tune, who love tools and power. Why are they so important? Because without them, this won't get delivered on time. And he doesn't cross the finish line. At Universal Technical Institute, the world's top companies help build our program so you can get the education you need to achieve success in the automotive, diesel, motorcycle, collision repair, and marine industries. We're for success, your success. Visit utisuccess.com.
Roll up. Go with me.
All right, so Mike Wadette is back to the start line. It's seeming that he's having a starter issue, and the car basically needs a jump start. I mean, this is the problems when you get those gremlins. You know, when you get a new car, Ryan, this happens. These are those last final details.
Yeah, you know, the seasoned veterans, you know, that bring out the cars year after year. You don't see a lot of that, but every time you get a new car and you're working on something new, you have to work out the bugs. It takes a little while.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, we wanted to see him at round 1 in Long Beach, but here he is. I mean, this is definitely more forgiving track, and I got to tell you, the way Dan Savage is driving, he's going to be a tough battle here for Mike Wadette. And having some words, he was absolutely stoked and just pumped to sweet as bro to be qualified 8th yesterday, but he was wondering how is he going to be in head-to-head battles. I mean, you know, this is just a brand new car and a whole new build. I mean, from the engine to the chassis to everything. I mean, it's almost as wide as it is as front to back. All right, we are getting word that we are sending cars. The door closes on Dan Savage's vehicle. It's hot, man. I mean, that is a real factor here. You, the fans that are here, know it's hot. I mean, we got umbrellas, we got, you know, the easy ups up, but man, here we go. Dan Savage out front, Mike Wadette giving chase. Here we go. Coming to that first initiation, that first clipping point, Mad Mike swings wide, dropping his formation quite a bit back. Mad Mike Wadette dancing with the dirt, throwing up that signature red clay as Dan Savage threw the paces into that rear clipping zone. And out of the keyhole, Dan Savage, oh, look at that, a little bit of a hiccup there from Dan Savage. So unfortunately, as we said, Mike Wadette didn't know how the chase run would go. Don't think that's the way he had hoped it'd go.
I want to take a close look at this. Mike may have thrown this one away. Let's see if he drops 2 tires here. He definitely gets one off. That's
about 1.5.
The judge is definitely going to have to interpret that, but that is very, very close to 2 tires off. So remember that big mistake that Dan Savage made in the first run. Mike makes, in my mind, you know, almost as equal of a mistake in the second run, and a little bit of sloppiness here through the rest of the run here. So a lot to digest for the judges. Both drivers making some pretty sizable mistakes in run number 1 and run number 2. Let's take a look at this one more time in slow motion, and we'll see if any dirt can pop up from that left rear tire. That's going to be your signal for 2 tires clearly off course.
And regardless where Dan's vehicle was, Mike definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ryan? That left throwing up some red dirt?
It seems like it.
Yeah, I mean, slowing it down, that to me looks like it has 2 tires off. And regardless where Dan was, Mike definitely wasn't. So unfortunately, that's going to be a huge deficit in Mad Mike's chase effort.
We've got those 2 big mistakes from both drivers, and the rest of the run is, definitely something to take a look at as well. But those are the poignant moments there. So we'll know how the judges interpret this here. It'll be interesting to see what equivalence they give to Savage's mistake on the first run. Is that equivalent to a 0? Does Mad Mike have a 0? Is this a one more time run, or was that just a big mistake by Savage and not necessarily a 0?
Unfortunate for Mad Mike, but I gotta call this one to Dan Savage. I mean, I think he had the right line, and Mike, he had a hiccup coming out of that keyhole to cause Dan Savage's mess up. So that's how I saw it. I'm stoked for Mike to be here. He brings so much style, him and all his partners.
Dan Savage's mess up was coming up the hill, not out of the keyhole.
Okay, gotcha. Here we go. Dan Savage, Mad Mike Wadette, Andy, Brian, and Ryan. Here are 3 judges. Which way is it gonna slide? Andy, Brian, and Ryan tabulating their scores. Again, super stoked to see the Rad Bull here. Just such a really cool car. And plans on competing on the remaining rounds of competition. As Mike Odette, obviously not the Stig, not getting the headshot, just fresh off the boat, fresh off the airplane, the vehicle flew. As Dan Savage in the Sickie Racing RX-8. Which way are they going to slide, left or right? Andy says Mike Wadette. Brian says one more time. And Ryan Lantain says Mike Wadette. Mad Mike Wadette gets the win. Mad Mike Wadette advances on car 1, 2, 3. Mad Mike Wadette advances. All right, so we're going to get to find out and speak to the judges. So wow, another interesting story here is that Mike Wadette, his vehicle needed a push start from the start, but Mike Wadette advances on one more time to 2. Mad Mike Wadette. Ryan, do you have any clarification here as far as the judge's verdict?
Yeah, well, the judges did give a 0 to Mad Mike on his second run, but they also gave one to Dan Savage for straightening on his second run, whereas Mad Mike did not have a 0 in his first run, so that's why at least Ryan Lantain went with Mad Mike Wadette.
Where was the correction in particular? Was it up the hill or
exiting the horseshoe?
Exiting the horseshoe. Okay, so Ryan Lantain saying that exiting the horseshoe was the mistake that Dan Savage had. So Dan Savage is knocked out. Mad Mike Wadette advances on in that Red Bull Nitto Tires quad rotor twin turbo. The math works out where he advances to the top 16. All right, so it seems that we are not going back to McCory Gooden. We're advancing on. We'll go back still to that. This is Wang versus Landerville. This should be a great one. These are both 2 JZ powered cars, Ryan. These guys have never seen competition before. And Landerville, a champion from the Great White North of Canada. And Forrest Wang, styles for miles, man. Definitely a stylistic driver. We'll see how he fares against a very fast Landerville. Look at that little feint entry there from Wang into that first front clip. He did do that yesterday in qualifying. So if the spotters are taking notes, they should know that the car 808 of Forrest Wang does have that initiation. Going into that rear clipping zone. Forrest Wang brings it all the way out. Landerville is close in proximity, but he's not mirroring the angle. I'd like to see Landerville mirror his angle and be closer to him. And just as I say that, look at that. Forrest Wang pulls away, showing a bit of dominance here. Again, both these guys, 2 JZ powered vehicles, both S chassis. Obviously, Landerville in that chase position, that Perry Performance S14, and Forrest Wang in the Get Nuts S15.
Let's take a look at this here on the Nitto replay. Good flick right there by Forrest Wang coming into this first inside clip here. Both drivers do a good job right there, staying close to each other. Landerville coming up the hill here. Now watch Forrest Wang really max out the angle right here. He goes deep into this zone right here. Landerville takes that inside line right there, losing a lot of angle right there and not on the line that Forrest Wang has. Good transition here by Wang coming down the hill. Landerville a little bit lacking in the angle right there. Forrest takes a mid-low line right there to protect his line and finishes crosses the finish line right there. So a good lead run by Forrest Wang.
So, in my eyes, I got to see Forrest Wang with the advantage. And Ryan, we talked about it, and I don't know if you heard me mention it, but basically how you initiated yesterday, you need to initiate today. The judges are really analyzing that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but you can see there's 2 yellow markers on the middle of the initiation point where the lead driver cannot go into that side of the lane without incurring a penalty. So if that comes into play later on in the competition, we'll talk about it more in detail. But there is a specific area where you can initiate and where you must stay in for the lead and the chase driver.
And that all unfolded in Seattle last year. Here we go. So Landerville with the same feint entry that Forrest Wang had. Forrest Wang dropping into formation into that first front clip, heading up the hill. Landerville. So there's, wow, look at Landerville pouring it on. Does he go in too hot? Oh, that is obviously one tire. Throws up the red flag in the Sand People's face. As Landerville continues down the hill at pace. Forrest Wang quite a bit back. You got some fans down there, Ryan. They love you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so Landerville in the lead position on this run.
Well, here we go. Landerville into initiation. Forrest Wang in tow right here into inner clip number 1. Looking pretty good so far is Landerville. Forrest Wang right here loses a little bit angle for a second. Right there, Landerville goes deep. Maybe pays a little bit of a price here for going too deep as he drops at least 1 tire right there. Lots of dirt up on course. Forrest Wang takes advantage of it, comes up on the inside. Now a little bit of separation right here as Landerville tries to max out the angle on that midline. Forrest Wang comes back around and tries to close up the back door here as both drivers cross the finish line.
Ryan, which way you lean in here in this instance? I mean, with Landerville going off course, that was definitely an opportunity for Forrest Wang to apply the pressure and cause him to back off as well.
Well, I think Forrest definitely won his lead battle. It's a matter of whether or not he won his chase. With Landerville making that mistake up top here, the severity of that will come into play in the judge's mind.
All right, as the judges tabulate their scores, so many things to see and do here. We will have that halftime break, so collect your thoughts and grab some limited edition Takata Formula Drift wallets. Here are the results. Landerville versus Wang. There's Andy. Wow, he's going all the way to what does that mean? All right, that's Brian and Ryan. There it is. Forrest Wang gets the win. So Forrest Wang is unanimous, and he gets the win and advances on to the top 16. So Wang is in the 16. All right, back to the one more time of McCory and Gooden. Tyler McCory from Northern California, Danville, California. How we doing, Baby Farm, watching at home. Nicole and the fam. And Pat Gooden. Hey, happy Mother's Day to Donna Gooden, the mom, and where my mother's at? Mothers watching at home, raise your hands, and mothers in the building. Happy Mother's Day to you. As Tyler McCory and Pat Gooden go at it one more time. McCory will lead, Gooden will give chase. Tyler McCory in that Chevrolet Camaro. Pat Gooden in the Njugu Racing S13. Here goes McCory initiating the first clip. Look at Gooden already applying the pressure out of the gate. The Falcon tires barking like seals in the San Francisco Harbor. Speaking of Northern California, as Gooden nosing in on that back wheel, McCory knocks down the keyhole clip. Transitions into that final clipping point. Ryan, a good showing by both these guys. Watch Gooden apply the pressure out of the gate.
And Tyler McCory and Pat Gooden quickly becoming rivals here. You can see Pat Gooden coming up on the inside right here, really trying to maintain proximity to Tyler McCory, who does a good job right here going on a midline, reaching out as far as he can to that outer zone right there, and then stepping into the second outer zone. Pat Gooden right there on the inside, loses the angle for just a second as Tyler McCory hits that inside clip. Now coming down the hill here, good angle by McCory. Gooden right there on tow, swings through the smoke line, and both drivers cross the finish line. Good run by both drivers in their lead and chase.
All right, Pat Gooden will now be out front. Tyler McCory giving chase. Now Tyler's background of traditional road racing. He's coming off of many different seat swaps in different vehicles. And now here he is back in drifting. You got to wonder, how does that play, into the driving style? I mean, Tanner Faust, he's back here again, and he's coming off of doing some, obviously rallycross, but also doing some road racing in Europe behind the wheel of an Audi. And here he is in his Volkswagen Passat. It's got to, does that help you getting all that seat time? But traditional versus drifting. As Pat Gooden will lead in the alternating of this run. Remember, this is the one more time of Pat Gooden and McCory. Let's see how Gooden initiates and where McCory lands. Nice job by both these guys. Good run. McCory, look at him diving in. He's out for blood. There's blood in the water. Pat Gooden gets the outside clipping zone. Could be deeper, but still a good showing on that lead run. Oh, McCory dives in way too hard, exiting the keyhole. Gooden, McCory. Like we talked about, Ryan, on that first run, who makes the larger mistake?
Well, if you call run number one pretty close to even, run number two, let's see if we can find out anything further. You can see nice job right here by Pat Gooden. Tyler McCory takes a similar approach on his chase run right here. Now watch the approach here by McCory. As Pat Gooden goes wide right here, McCory takes a little bit of an inside line right here to gain proximity. He takes a little bit away in doing that, and as he transitions back around, he takes out that cone on the inside line right there, gives away a little bit of separation. Will that be enough for Pat Gooden to get the win? If you look at that first run, I think both of the drivers pretty evenly matched, at least in my eyes. But that second part of the second half of the run for Tyler McCory might be what gives Pat Gooden the win there.
You're calling Gooden right now?
Saying it's definitely possible.
It's
50-50 chance, right?
That was the most political answer I've ever heard. It's definitely possible. Impractical, I'd say definitely maybe. Definitely maybe. All right, let's find out. McCory or Gooden? Ryan, Andy, and Brian. Sliding left goes Ryan, Andy, and Brian. Pat Gooden advances on the king of spring break. Pat Gooden advances. There you go. Hurt Life jumping up and down. There you go. The cheerleader for Pat Gooden, official cheerleader, is Hertratch Eugene Jr. Give me a P. All right, moving on to our next battle. This should be a fun one to watch. These guys, you know what? Look at the stats. They've never faced each other.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
This should be fun, man. These guys are two go-hard fellas. Jeff Jones, Vaughn Gittin Jr. Oh, man, this should be a barn burner. I'm looking for some exciting driving. Jeff Jones, I think, has been waiting for this. He got his first ever podium last year in a Pro 2 round of competition. He's going to go hard. And, man, we'll see if he goes home or he takes out a former champion of Vaughn Gittin Jr. Vaughn on the lead. Jeff Jones giving chase in that first front clip. There goes Vaughn Gittin Jr. rocketing, slingshotting away from Jeff Jones. But watch, Jeff Jones could tighten him up here with that turbocharged V8. Before it goes that rear flipping zone. And now Jeff tries to tighten it up. But once again, that Mustang RTR of Vaughn Gittin Jr. pulls away. Oh, man, I wish Jeff had just a little more horsepower and could keep up with Vaughn. You saw the dominance there as he just ricocheted out of that first clip.
I think the difference really is in grip. I mean, the horsepower is actually pretty evenly matched here, but Vaughn Gittin Jr., like you said, he basically takes off away from Jeff Jones here. You can see really threading the needle on this outside zone right here as Jeff is trying to make up some ground here, takes that inside line, tries to gain proximity, transitioning right here across the course is Vaughn Gittin Jr. coming down the hill now on that middle line. Jeff Jones really trying to gain a little bit more closeness to Vaughn Gittin Jr., but unable to do it as Vaughn lays down a pretty solid run, now trying to back it up with a solid chase.
All right, so let's alternate the order here as Jeff Jones will lead. And Vaughn Gittin Jr., that Monster Energy Ford Performance Mustang RTR on Nitto tires. Giving out a Ford Mustang there. CatchMyDrift.com. Courtesy of Gumout as Jeff Jones DNA motoring. Turbo by Garrett V8. under the hood of the S14. Here we go. Jeff Jones out front. Vaughn Gittin Jr. giving chase. Quick little snap from Jeff Jones. See if, yeah, Ryan, as you said, that grip. Look at Vaughn Gittin Jr. just hook up. Is he pushing too hard here? Barely massaging it in as Vaughn dances with the back end of Jeff Jones. S14. Wow. Whoa. Wow, that was interesting there. Jeff Jones was crawling, but Vaughn's composure was absolutely admirable there. I mean, many drivers would have just absolutely plowed into him, and not that Vaughn hasn't done it before, right?
Well, you can see right here, Vaughn, you know, he has a good strategy here. He's giving a little bit of space to Jeff Jones on initiation. I think that's a smart move right here, because basically the rest of the way, he's reeling him in, reeling him in. Jones tries to go deep right here. Vaughn's right here on the inside of Jeff Jones's door. Now, coming down the hill here, this is kind of where the exciting portion happens. You can see Jones trying to get some grip. He's not able to move forward in a progression that you would typically see him move forward in. Vaughn makes some adjustments there, so I got to give that all to Vaughn Gittin Jr. That was kind of a big mistake right there by Jeff Jones, just not able to lock up coming down the hill, and a decent job by him to avoid major contact.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Vaughn Gittin Jr., but man, I just love Jeff Jones. You came up with the word for him, relentless, and that's just who he is. Just a fun-loving dude.
He is. He's right.
So here we go, Ryan, Andy, and Brian. I got to assume they're all going to slide right, unfortunately for Jeff Jones, but fortunately for the professional fun haver, Vaughn Gittin Jr., that Monster Energy Nitto Tire Mustang RTR advances on to the top 16. Good showing by Jones, but as you said, horsepower, it's more grip, and that side grip. You know, I mean, just think about the development that Vaughn Gittin Jr. has had over the years, not only with a Mustang, but driving so many different vehicles. What Vaughn has done with the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a tactician and an awesome engineer as well. Works with a lot of great guys in being able to develop his program, and obviously showing spades right there.
All right, well, here's a former Formula Drift champion, and going against Fast Kenny, as he's known. Kenny Moen from Norway. Kenny, very quick, very fast, and just watch him just expedite this course. Both of these guys have won against each other, but Michael Essa in this brand new Chevrolet Camaro really working out in that SLP Chevrolet Camaro on Yokohama tires initiates as Kenny Moen in this S14. I mean, it's just there's so many parts widely available for this thing. You throw the right horsepower, it's going to perform. Unfortunately for Michael Essa right now, just having to battle this new vehicle as Kenny Moen makes quick work of this course. As I said, signed, sealed, delivered. Kenny Moen just rips through the course as Michael Essa in that chase position. Now let's take a look at it again.
Here you go, both drivers coming down the hill right here. Lots of angle right here from Michael Essa. It causes him to fall back quite a ways right here as Kenny Moen. You can't do that with Kenny Moen. He's so quick and so fast. Does a great job threading the needle right here on this outside zone. And right there, Michael Essa makes the biggest mistake of the run so far. I have to imagine that is pretty much going to be a 0 for that run for Michael Essa. And unfortunately for him, he'll have a big hill to climb here as he goes up against Kenny Moen.
Literally and figuratively. I mean, from different vantage points, you know, that elevation change. Obviously, you could see the elevation change coming down the hill, but coming up the hill, you know, you really need to stay on it and keep it sideways. And you saw Essa dive in and have that mistake. So now, with Essa out front making those mistakes, was that caused by trying to keep up with Kenny Moen, or is the car just that out of shape right now and not able to maintain that drift? So Kenny Moen will chase down the street legal performance Chevrolet Camaro of Michael Essa. Kenny Moen on Achilles radio. Got Bill sponsored S14. Got Bill, the infamous Norwegian and Scandinavian event. A few events over there from Got Bill. Here we go. As Michael Essa brings it into that first front clip. Oh, look at this. So Kenny actually loses some angle to gain that proximity. Not a pretty run from either of these guys at this point. as Essa does navigate the course properly. Not the prettiest, but Ryan, I mean, watch Kenny. I mean, he basically loses drift in order to gain that proximity. I don't know if that was the right decision, but for me, this run is just a wash.
Well, here we go. Let's take a look at this. Michael Essa comes into the first corner, lots of angle. Kenny Moen giving him a little bit of space here. Knows that Michael Essa has a zero. Watch Kenny right here. He straightens out and then gets back into drift. I think that will be the main point of contention here, is whether or not that is a zero, because if it is, then it would null the first run, and we would see this battle go one more time. If it's not, I think you would still lean towards Kenny Moen, but you can see right here, obviously, Kenny Moen, knowing that Michael Essa had that zero, maybe played a little bit in his mind there. We see that a lot. You know, sometimes having a zero isn't even the best thing to have for in your side of the camp. You know,
yeah.
You know, it's almost as if you want to go head to head and push 100% all the way, because when you make those adjustments, sometimes you make mistakes.
But do you think that Michael Essa had a good enough run to offset his zero on that first run?
It depends on whether or not Kenny Moen had a zero.
I'm Ryan Sage. I'm running for office.
I'm just kidding.
Well, that is what it matters.
I mean, yeah, okay. Ryan, Andy, and Brian, our judges, Essa and Moen. There it goes, and unanimously, Kenny Moen gets the win. Kenny Moen advances on to the top 16. All right. Odi Bakshis was to go against Jonathan Castro, but Castro from Dominican Republic had to retire for, we actually do not have the information on why he had to retire, but we understand. So Ryan, do you have the information? Okay, so we're hearing, Ryan's telling me and informing that the engine has popped, so meaning that cannot run. So unfortunately, Jonathan Castro and his E3 spark plugs, hand-cooked tires, 370Z, had to retire, as Odi Bakshis, who right now is currently second in points in the Formula Drift Championship. This is a great position for Odi to be in, and a quick advancement into the top 16. So Odi Bakshis advances on to the top 16. This is his bye run. All right, so this is a bye run there for Odi Bakshis. Odi Bakshis Field Suspension, ARC Performance, Nitto Tires, V8 S14. As Odi Bakshis does have another vehicle that he got second place in Long Beach. That vehicle is now being shipped to Canada, China, and Japan to compete in the World Championship. All right, so Odi Bakshis advancing on with that quick, obvious bye run, and now in the top 16. This should be a fun one. I mean, you look at the vehicles, the drivers, the diversity, as Yokoi and Kaufman. Yokoi driving the, you know, the very JDM-looking D-Max S15 Sylvia, coming from Japan, coming off a victory, you know, last year in Fuji, and here he is, Matt Kaufman, in that Roush performance-powered S13. Yokoi will be leading, qualifying 12th. Matt Kaufman qualifying 21st. Matt Kaufman, a soft-spoken young man by comparison to his vehicle. He's also running biofuel, an ethanol E98. Look at that, Kaufman dropping into formation against Yokoi with that long entry, causing Kaufman to fall back quite a bit, but now seeming to catch up with him, no problem. Out of the horseshoe, back down the hill. Kaufman lacking the angle, and brings it on home.
So here we go, Jared. Let's take a look at this. It's kind of looking like the Yokoya that we saw from Fuji last year in Okayama. You can see nice initiation right there. Matt Kaufman trying to make up ground here. Watch how Yokoya goes so deep into this outer zone here. Matt Kaufman is able to catch up here. Yokoya comes around to this inside clip. Both drivers pretty close right here as they transition down the hill. Matt Kaufman trying to gain a little bit more proximity here as Yokoya is on that middle line and then comes up on that last inside clip, crossing the finish line.
All right, so Kaufman will now lead. Kaufman will lead as Yokoya will give chase. Look like Kaufman got thrown off there by Yokoya's initiation in that lead position. Let's see how Kaufman does out front. With this battle, we'll officially be halfway through our top 32. Here we go, Kaufman out front. Using that Thunderbolt race fuel. Matt Kaufman coming to that first front clip. Good composure. As Yokoya right there. Yokoya closing that gap, coming into that rear clipping zone. Second one is Yokoya right there. Kaufman bounces out of the horseshoe, and Yokoya still cannot be shaken. Good driving prowess by both these guys. Yokoya really with some fine composure in that chase position, Ryan.
Yeah, turning it on here in the round of 32. Both drivers initiating into this first corner right here. Yokoya coming up on the backside of Matt Kaufman right here. A lot of proximity moving up the hill here as both drivers try to get into that outer zone. Nice job by Matt Kaufman. He comes off a little bit early right there. Yokoya makes an adjustment, stays on the inside, gains a lot of proximity and closeness to Matt Kaufman. Now watch this transition right here. Kaufman's on the inside. Yokoya comes around, tucks his nose in right there as Kaufman goes wide on that last inside clip. So good move right there, anticipating where Kaufman was going to go on course and taking advantage of it by Yokoya.
And let's slide it left or right. And Yokoya gets the win. Yokoya takes out Matt Kaufman as Masashi Yokoya in the D-Max Silvia S15 advances on to the top 16. Officially halfway through the top 32. Our next battle, look at this, Frederick Osbo, second overall in the championship last year. He is fighting and currently leading the championship against a Daigo Saito who, you know, just doesn't look like his championship form. You know, mind you, is it mental? Is it vehicle build? I got to say the vehicle build is, you know, it's still working out its kinks. Again, this is the first year. This is only the sophomore running of this vehicle, as we did see in Long Beach running those 20-inch wheels. You saw him just bounce all over the place in that rumble strip in this GTR. 21-inch, just to clarify, 21. I was 1 inch shy, my bad. They're big regardless. No spinners though. They're missing the spinners. I appreciate the stats. All right, here we go. Sending cars as Frederick Osbo, who qualified second, compared to Daigo Saito's qualifying 31st. Coming to that first front clip is Frederick Osbo on that Rockstar Energy Drink hand-cooked tire. So, whoa, Daigo Saito into that rear clipping zone as Osbo. Daigo is just absolutely aggressive, but as it stands, man, he just went off in the dirt. He got off the fairway into the rough there, Ryan.
Well, let's take a look at this because this might be very close to 2 tires off. Daigo very aggressive on initiation, staying close to Frederick Osbo. Osbo coming up the hill here, right here. This is where we're talking about. Yeah, that is definitely 2 tires off for Daigo Saito. And if you're Daigo Saito, you don't want to go out in the top 32. He had a top 32 exit in Long Beach, but Frederick Osbo also does not want to go out in the top 32 for a championship chase. So both drivers really wanting to move forward here like any other pair, but both of these guys are championship contenders, and I have to imagine that Daigo Saito is sitting on a big disadvantage right now.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes unsaid. I mean, this is your first drift event. You're like, nah, any race car that touches the grass like that, you're you're not going to have the advantage. You're not going to win the race, regardless of the form of motorsport, if it's traditional road racing or drifting. So Daigo Saito with a disadvantage.
So just conferring with the judges, that is a 0 for Daigo Saito. So big hill to climb here for him.
All right, here we go. So Saito out front. Osbo giving chase. Into the first front clip. There's Saito. Looking a lot more collected here in the lead position. Bringing it into the second rear clipping zone. Now, Ryan, I have to assume that there's a little bit of strategy here from Osbo to not sandbag too much, but to give yourself enough distance going against this Achilles radial GTR of Daigo Saito. And I gotta think that was just enough. Was he applying the pressure like we saw in the final rounds of Long Beach? I don't think so, but I think that was enough.
Well, here we go. Let's take a look at this on the Nitto replay here as Frederick Osbo is chasing down Daigo Saito, sitting on a 0. Daigo coming up the hill, trying to max out the angle right here for that first outer zone into the second outer zone. Frederick Osbo's right there, definitely doing enough. But watch this mistake by Daigo. Overextends right here, goes a little bit wide coming into this last portion of the course. Osbo adjusts, comes back up on the inside. Both drivers come around this last inside clip. I have to imagine it's just going to come down to that first run right there with Daigo making that big mistake going off course.
Okay, so going to the judges, I assume they're going to slide right for the 151 of Frederick Osbo gets the win. Frederick Osbo gets the win and advances on to the top 16. So our current points leader, both first and second in the points, is in the top 16. So Osbo advances more than halfway through the top 32. As Tanner Faust, the golden child, Foxy, whatever you want to call him, two-time Formula Drift champion from 07 and 08, is going against Jeff Stoneback. Ryan, this should be a really good battle. I mean, with the seat time that Tanner Faust has, being the two-time champion, but the angst and the driving style, the aggressiveness of Jay Wang, Jeff Stone Cold Stoneback, in that V8 S14, this should be a really fun one to watch. Only thing difficult here is nobody's seen a Volkswagen Passat drift until just about a month ago. So Tanner Faust will be leading. Jeff Stoneback will be giving chase. Here we go. Tanner Faust coming into the first front clip. That Rockstar Energy Volkswagen on Nitto tires. So look at this, Jeff Stoneback now trying to reel him in, getting door to door with that Volkswagen Passat. Tanner Faust putting on a good showing out front. Tanner Faust keeping it sideways. Woo, ripping through the course. Ryan, a good job by both these guys, and watch Jeff climb up the hill, chasing down Tanner.
Well, here we go. Tanner, nice snappy initiation right here. Stoneback falling back just a little bit as Tanner's perfect on that inside clip. Stoneback now trying to reel him in as Tanner comes up the hill right here. Nice job on that outer zone, extending even further into the second outer zone. Stoneback right there, close the door for a second. Both drivers come up on this second inside clip. Good transition down the hill right here. Tanner not making mistakes out front at all. Stoneback keeping pace with Tanner as best he possibly can, but not the closest proximity that you'd like to see. So a good battle right there. Tanner Faust definitely no real mistakes in the lead position, however.
All right, so let's see how Wang does out front. Or Wang, excuse me, Jay Wang. Jeff Stoneback, his nickname's Jay Wang. Yeah. Jeff Stoneback will be leading. Tanner Faust will be giving chase. Here comes Stoneback. Coming down the hill, light of those Achilles radials. Initiation is strong by Stoneback, but then falls down quite a bit, allowing Tanner Faust to get up close and personal with Stoneback. Whoa, Faust comes in hot. Going off course as Stoneback tightens it up. Tanner Faust ditches the cone and unfortunately ditches, I have to assume, the advancement into the top 16. A case of taking yourself out, Ryan.
So Tanner Faust, a two-time podium here in Road Atlanta, looking for his first win in 5 years. Had a really solid run on run number 1 as the lead driver. Now watch this coming up the hill here. He's losing some ground to Stonebeck. He gets on the throttle, just overextends a little bit too much. I have to imagine that is going to be a 0, and with Stonebeck not zeroing on run number 1 or run number 2, we may not see the first Tanner Faust win in 5 years, but we will see Jeff Stonebeck moving on into the top 16.
All right, so Faust and Stonebeck going to the judges. Ryan, Andy, and Brian, unanimous. Jeff Stonebeck takes out two-time champion Tanner Faust. Man, as much as I want to see Tanner Faust advance, that's just not going to get it done. I mean, it'd just be a great spectacle. See that rear-wheel drive Volkswagen Passat, Rockstar Engineering Nitto Tire Volkswagen Passat in the top 16. It's just not in the cards for Tanner Faust as Stonebeck advances on to the top 16. So here's Chris Forsberg's stats. 2015 Nissan 370Z. He's running the VK56 with some nitrous as well. He's running about 1,000 horsepower. He is our reigning Formula Drift champion. He's known as the Force with a max angle of 65 degrees, courtesy of that Voodoo 13 suspension kit, angle kit, excuse me, and obviously two-time champion, one of only 3 back in 2009, and just coming off the championship, being wrapped up in Irwindale last year. So Forsberg is on the start line. He is qualified 7th compared to Kyle Mohan's 26th. Chris Forsberg will be leading at NOS Energy Drink, Hankook Tires 370Z. Kyle Mohan, the GT Radial, Mazda Tricks, Mazda RX-8, a big gap from Chris Forsberg, initiating into that first front clip. We saw Mohan go into the kitty litter earlier as Forsberg comes up the hill into that second rear clipping zone, up close and personal to the fans, tightens it up, out of the keyhole, as Mohan struggling to maintain that proximity and keeping up with Forsberg. So there it is, as Chris Forsberg puts on an exemplary run out front.
Well, this first run right here looks all Chris Forsberg. Kyle Mohan looked great in qualifying last night, trying to back it up with a good performance here in the top 32, but going up against Forsberg is no easy task, and you can see right here, big gap established early on by Forsberg on Kyle Mohan, who's able to fill that zone perfectly, come back around to that second inside clip. Good transition going down the hill here, as Kyle Mohan is about 4 to 5 car lengths back. Forsberg on this last turn going up the hill, hitting that last inside clip. Good job. So no mistakes right there in the lead position from Chris Forsberg. Kyle Mohan has got his work cut out for him as he takes on the lead position here, and Forsberg will chase.
All right, so this should be interesting. I mean, these guys both veterans of the sport. As Mohan will lead, Forsberg will give chase. Chris Forsberg, probably the one of the drivers, I'd have to say one of the top 3 drivers with the most runs on this course, compared to that of Vaughn Gittin Jr. and Dai Yoshihara. Unfortunately, we did not see him in competition. He had to retire yesterday before even qualifying happened. Here we go, Kyle Mohan. Wow. Ooh.
He hit a chicane cone. Okay,
so that start chicane coming into play here. You can see it getting fixed up top.
So we talked about that earlier on, Jared, when we were talking about the zeros. Essentially what that'll mean for Kyle Mohan is just a single strike. So strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, you're out. So he's got 2 more opportunities to make it through the chicane clean. Just looked like he kind of came off the line a little bit weird there and wasn't positioned correctly. So just a strike for Kyle Mohan. They'll reset, and we'll get this battle underway.
Okay, so Kyle Mohan will be leading. Forsberg will be given chase. Here we go. So Kyle Mohan out front, Forsberg giving chase. Here comes Mohan initiating. We got a clean start here. As you said, Ryan, just one strike. Coming up the hill is Mohan. A little bit of wavering there as Forsberg drops into formation into that rear clipping zone. Nice aggressive driving there by Chris Forsberg. I have to think that will seal the deal. Hey, real quick, the FDATL Formula Drift survey. Oh, sorry, real quick, Ryan, walk us through it again.
Well, here we go on this replay right here with Kyle Mohan and Chris Forsberg. Forsberg with that advantage on the first run, very solid lead run. Looking for Kyle Mohan to do an equally positive lead run, but Chris Forsberg is unable to be shaken here. Nice job by Kyle filling that zone, but Forsberg is right there with them. Now a good transition down the hill here as both drivers trying to find that line. Kyle Mohan takes the middle line. Forsberg stays right with them right there. A little bit of separation towards the end. I'm not sure that it'll be enough to overrun that first run.
All right, well, here are the judges. I assume they're going to all slide right, unfortunately for Mohan, but fortunately for Chris Forsberg, and there it is. Chris Forsberg advances on. Your reigning champion is in the top 16. Chris Forsberg advances. So if you enter the Formula Drift survey, we have your winners. You're going to pick them up here at the judging tower. Bring your ID. Congratulations, Peter Yim, Anthony, Tony Obi, and Desiree, I believe it's Davia. So join us at the judging tower. Bring your ID for Formula Drift merchandise package. Peter Yim, Anthony, Tony Obi, and Desiree Davia. Congratulations, you won your Formula Drift survey prize pack. So our next battle is not a battle at all. It's a buy run. It's a buy run. So Ryan Turk will advance on as Pat Merdaunt is unfortunately unable to run. So Ryan Turk will advance on to the top 16. This is his buy run and his Retax Lifestyle Backpacks 2JZ FRS. All right, so here's Ryan Turk's buy run. Obviously, Ghost Man there, as he is not competing against anybody in this Retax Lifestyle Backpacks FRS. Finishing out the course. Little celebratory smoke signal from Ryan Hampshire Turk. With only 4 runs left to go here in top 32, Ryan Turk finishes it out. Well, Ryan Turk puts on a little complimentary display. Speaking of complimentary, you could win a free set of Drift's wheels. What are Drift's wheels? Well, basically, the Drift's wheels. I got my man Kenny up here. How we doing, bud?
Great. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Such a beautiful day. And are you from here in the South?
I am from Atlanta.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And have you ever been to a Drift event before?
I have. I've been to 3 or 4 Drift events.
Sweet.
We actually are sponsoring the event this year.
Right on. Well, you obviously know what it's all about. So Drifts is giving away a set of wheels.
We are. We'd like the fans to stop by our booth, the Drifts booth. Pick up one of the flyers that will give you the details on how to pick up a free set of wheels this weekend.
There it is right there. Win a set of wheels. Tag a photo of you watching this weekend's event. Hashtag FD Drifts. Now let's spell DRIFZ 15 and enter win a free set of Drifts wheels. So you're down there in the paddock. We got this halftime show, Kenny. And do you have some wheels displayed down there?
We do. We have a great display of tuner wheels down there. We'd like everybody to stop by and take a look.
Okay, well, right on. There you go. Drifts giving back to you. So FD Drifts, DRIFZ 15. So, again, when we come back, we have our next battle. Only 4 battles left here in top 32. Formula Drift Pro Championship presented by GoPro. It's all going down here in the dirty south of Road Atlanta.
What's next? Big things. Things you never saw coming. So buckle your tool belt. Here comes the all-new Ford F-150. The first and only pickup that lets you do this, and this, and this. All wrapped in a high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy body so you can do the most of this. The all-new Ford F-150, the future of tough.
No one forces us to race. We choose to be here. It's the connection to the car. Our ability to control the chaos. That's what drives our passion.
Be one with it, and it will be one with you. Be one with your tires, and the road will be one with you. Hang up tires.
We have broken the sound barrier and pioneered new paths to space. But where is that new frontier? What barriers will we break next? Every day, we are given the opportunity to sign our name to history. Just close your eyes and look inside. You are that new frontier. I'm General Mark Welch. These are my heroes. And we are American Airmen.
I know when I toss my car into a turn at over 100 miles per hour, it's going to hold it. If you don't have confidence in your tires, you have nothing.
All right, 4 battles left here in the top 32, and our next one should be a doozy. Conrad Grunwald, Conradicals I like to call him, in that always evolving Chevrolet Camaro, going against Dean Carnage Carney, that Oracle Lighting Dodge Viper on Achilles radials. Conrad Grunwald will be leading as he qualified third, get it third, compared to Dean Carnage Carney's 30th. So Conrad Grunwald, an exciting driver, but when it comes to head-to-head, we'll see how he fares against the SRT-10 Dodge Viper of Dean Carney. Right now, both these guys looking clean. Whoa, as just as I say that, Dean Carney pushed a little too hard. A big correction from Dean. Oh, man, a bummer for Dean Carney. He knew he needed to be aggressive. He's seen a really great run out front from Conrad. Ryan, that was a strong showing from Conrad. I think that's why Dean knew he needed to apply more pressure.
Well, Conrad definitely has that dynamic driving style, but Dean definitely has that overall aggression. You can see right here, it might hurt him a little bit as he comes up the hill right here. Conrad Grunwald really maxing out the angle right here, trying to get into outer zone number 2. And right there, Dean comes up very, very tight, almost makes contact, has to straighten out to get back into it. A huge mistake right there by Dean Kearney. Now coming back down the hill here is Conrad Grunwald. Dean trying to get back in the game here, but a big mistake up top that may have an impact overall. And who takes this win here in the top 32?
All right, remember, join the conversation, hashtag FDATL, Formula Drift Atlanta. Hashtag FDATL. So now Dean Carney will be leading as Conrad Grunwald will be giving chase.
And just confirming with the judges, Dean is sitting on a 0, so Conrad Grunwald will have to measure his approach here, but not too measured.
Yeah, it's a very similar situation to that of Frederick Osbo. Here we go, Dean Carney out front, that Oracle Lighting Dodge Viper. He's looking for Conrad Grunwald to make a potential mistake in that chase position, and he needs to put on a clinic out front. Right now, Dean Carney doing all the right things in order to advance on, but Conrad, he's sticking to it right now. And just as I say that, he backs off. Ryan, I have to think that, I don't think that's enough. You know, that gap created there back down the hill I don't think that's enough to take out, to offset that big mistake by Dean.
Well, it's a 0 for Dean on the first run. Obviously, Conrad Grunwald, the need to do something equal. He stays with Dean right here, makes a little bit of mistake on initiation, but nothing super crazy so far. Nice job by Dean. This is a great lead run by him out front. Nice transition right there, coming down the hill now. A little bit of separation here as Conrad Grunwald knows he's got a big advantage, gives him a little bit of room towards the end there. Like I said, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be enough.
No, like you know, the 0, that's a big hill to climb, and especially when you got a very aggressive driver in Conrad Grunwald. Let's go to the judges. Sliding right for Conrad, sliding left for Dean, and there it is. Conrad Grunwald, the always evolving Chevrolet Camaro on GT Radials, advances on to the top 16. 3 more battles left in the top 32. Our schedule has us taking a break till 6 o'clock. Okay, here we go. Our next battle, Charles Ng versus Matt Field. Matt Field's parents are in the building. Happy Mother's Day, Field's mom. Wow, I say that. Where are you guys at? Oh, there you are. How are we doing? Got the aunt, got the whole family here. Met you over there. So here comes the 777 of Matt Field. He's going to be chasing down Hong Kong's own Charles Ng. That GTR powered G37, sponsored by SparkPlugs.com and Maxxis Tires. Matt Field, CX Racing. S14 supercharged V8 under the hood. Yokohama tires smoke as Charles Ng brings it into the horseshoe. Look at Matt Field. Woo! Wheel to wheel, shoving Charles Ng out of the way. Wow, Matt Field. Give him the old bulldozer. How does that one Ludacris song go? Man. Let's take a look at this again, Ryan.
Well, the question will be whether or not Matt Field came in too hot here. You can see both drivers very aggressive out front. Now coming up the hill here, Charles Ng in that lead position. Matt coming up very, very fast right here. Makes contact with Charles and pushes him off course. I have to imagine that is going to be Matt Field at fault. Let's take a look at it from another angle here. You can see both drivers come in pretty cleanly. Matt Field staying very close on proximity. And this is where he comes up super, super fast. Tries to angle it out to avoid contact, but there's the contact right there. And Charles Ng goes off course.
Yeah, you see Charles Ng get into the rumble strips. His front wheels are counter locked, so it's not that as if he was slowing down abruptly, and he was on line. So it's a case of just sometimes the aggression getting the best of you. Wanting to win, you got to let it all hang out, and Matt Field just potentially left a little too much out there as we wait to see what transpires here as they alternate order. Field will be out front. It's not over yet, because if Field puts down a solid run out front and Ng has some mistakes, it could still be a one more time. So here we go. Field coming into that first rear clipping zone, approaching the horseshoe, brings it in nice and tight. Coming around the horseshoe, here's Ng diving in. Looking like an 80s music video out here on track with all the neon colors flying and the smoke. Looking like something from Poison with some engine. As Matt Field goes through the paces.
Well, here we go, Jared, taking a look at the replay. I think Matt Field really need to lay it on here, and Charles Ng need to have a pretty sizable mistake for him to overcome that contact in that first run right here. Matt Field doing a good job out front. Goes deep as he possibly can into that first outer zone, then back around to that second inside clip. Now coming down the hill here as Matt Field transitions on a middle line. Charles Ng staying pretty close right here, so no major mistakes from Charles Ng. And while Matt Field had a pretty exceptional lead run, I think he's got a big issue in front of him in form of that contact in run number 1.
All right, so the results are in. Ng and Field And there it is. Charles Ng advances. Unfortunately for the Field family, I'm sorry. Didn't give you the Mother's Day gift that you'd hoped for. Matt Field retires as Charles Ng advances. Matt Field in the CX Racing Yokohama Tire Supercharged V8 is knocked out as Charles Ng moves on to the top 16. 2 more battles left here in the top 32. Ken Gucci versus Matt Spederbo, and Alec Honadell versus Nate Hamilton. An all-Injuku racing battle to round out the top 32. Ken Gucci and Mats never having done battle against each other. Both are flying the Turbo by Garrett Turbo Life flag. Ken Gucci absolutely on one last night, qualifying 6th, pushing the pedal through the floor last night. As look at this right now, Mats is a no-show to the start line in that gold in the net Mark II on Falcon tires. All right, I'm seeing the universal hand signal for 5. A little far away to give you a high five, but Matt Spederbo calling a competition timeout. That is 5-minute allotment for Matt Spederbo. So Matt's from Canada calling a competition timeout. Ideally, we would advance on to the Alec Honadell and Little Tech's Nate Hamilton battle. I can see them behind Ken Gucci. You guys having fun, Atlanta? You guys having fun online? Make some noise. All right, everybody at the same time, yell out your favorite driver on 3. 1, 2, 3. Did you hear one of those? I think it was like, rah, rah. That was it. I heard it. Same here. Totally agree. All right, so Nate and Alec are up next. Look at these 2 young guns. Alec Honadell, a sick run last night. I think he was minus some points. If I was a judge, I think he would have scored a little higher. Really a solid showing there in qualifying last night in his supercharged V8 Gitnuts Laboratory S14. Nate Hamilton turbocharged V8 under the hood of his S13. Again, both these guys on the Injuku Racing team. So Alec and Hamilton, this was to be the last battle. And up, just to let you know, with today's schedule, the halftime break scheduled from 6 to 7:30 will obviously be before that. VIP experience and track walk 7 to 8 o'clock, and the national anthem at 7:30. Here we go. Remember, we'll go back to Mats and Ken Gucci, but it's Alec and Nate Honadell versus Hamilton. All right, Alec comes into that first corner as Hamilton goes off course, and Honadell is going to finish out the course. As Hamilton gets into the dirt, and Honadell tearing it up. So Alec rips through the course.
Well, not a lot here, Jared. Obviously, Alec out front, taking that lead role, but Nate Hamilton making a mistake in the chase position, just not able to anticipate where he needed to be on course. After initiation goes off course, gives himself a 0, and now Alec will have the challenging job of sitting on a positive score with Nate sitting on a 0. It always seems like that is a tough challenge, but nonetheless, Alec has a big advantage here as Nate Hamilton has a 0. He'll now take the lead as Alec will chase him down.
Okay, so Hamilton will be out front with this deficit. So Hamilton will be out front with this deficit. Alec Honadell will be giving chase. We are ready to send them here. All right, so here we go. Hamilton leading, Honadell giving chase, and Hamilton goes in to that first front clip. It's not over just yet for Hamilton if he puts down a solid run and Alec makes some mistakes. Oh, and Honadell goes off course. Hamilton, a very shallow line. As Hamilton finishes it out. Ryan, was that enough to offset Hamilton's mistake?
It's the curse of the zero.
Man, that zero.
Let's take a look at this. A lot of angle right here by Nate Hamilton coming to this first corner. Alex taking the measured approach, coming up the hill here. Now both drivers. Now let's watch Alec in the background. Comes up very, very hot, tries to max out the angle, goes off course, drops one tire, possibly two there. The judges will have to make a call on that, but that was definitely a massive, massive mistake for Alec, who was sitting on a big advantage after Nate had a zero of his own on that first run. So a lot to digest here as both drivers now back up top. Nate Hamilton in that lead position once again as we take a look at the replay one more time. Honadell comes up very, very hot right here. He goes off course outside the outer zone number one, drops at least one tire right there, and then it's unclear. It's number two from that vantage point, which is the straight on vantage point there.
Man, that's a lot of dirt being thrown up. We didn't see that vantage point there on the other side. So with Hamilton making that mistake there on that first run, Nate needed to put down a solid lead run. And we've seen the situation before where you need that chase car to make a mistake to stay in the game or advance on.
And if Alec gets away with this, he'll definitely be blessing the drift gods, because that's as close as you can get to a zero.
So basically, it could go to a one more time. So the judges say Alec Honadell. Honadell gets the win. Alec Honadell gets the win. So Ryan, you know, the two tires off, I mean, that kind of coming into play?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that Alex zeroed out there. It's got to be two tires clearly off. We saw the one. We didn't see any tires shooting from the second one. There's a lot of smoke there, and we have the straight on camera shot. So the judges using that ruling right down to the T verbatim, two tires clearly off course. And so that, unlike Daigo and some of the other drivers where you could see both tires off course, this one, you could see the one, and the second one was not clearly seen. So a big break right there for Alec, and he'll make his way into the top 16.
All right, so the Doof, Super Doof body kits by 2F Performance. That was Doof versus Doof there of Honadell and Hamilton, and Honadell continues to be the supreme Doof in that instance. So the competition timeout of Mats and Gucci. Mats called it. He broke an axle, unable to fix it. So the gold in the net Toyota Mark II has to retire. That means the Goosh, Ken Gucci, advances on to the top 16. This is a celebratory run for Ken Gucci, as he qualified 6th yesterday. So look at that, the Hankook tire smoke. The Hankook tire smoke ripping through. So Ryan Gucci advances. Our top 16 is set. Ryan, our top 16 is set. We have, why don't you walk us through who you think, you know, in these battles?
Well, on the left side of the bracket, we've got Justin Pollock versus Pat Gooden. Both drivers looking excellent this weekend. Number 2 is Mad Mike Wadette taking on Forrest Wing. That is definitely going to be an amazing battle. This one we've seen a few times before. Incredible drivers. Vaughn Gittin Jr. taking on Kenny Moen. And then rounding off the left side of the bracket, Odie Bakchi's taking on Masashi Yokoi. That is a stacked left side of the bracket.
Yeah, now looking at the right side, Frederick Osbo versus Jeff Stoneback. Stoneback taking out Tanner Faust notably. Then you got Chris Forsberg going against his Drift Alliance brother Ryan Turk. These guys make video content, partied last weekend. Here they are going against each other. That's going to be a great battle. Conrad Grunwald, who is just on fire, a great run right there. He qualified 3rd. He's going against Charles Ing, who got taken out by Matt Field. He qualified 14th. Ing versus Grunwald. Then the last battle on the top 16, Ken Gucci versus Honadale. If Gucci drives the way he did yesterday in qualifying, and that was a solid little run right there, that bye run, you know, he's got a serious contender in Alec Honadale. That's going to be a tough one to call. The 16 is set. The cement is drying. It's already dried. But, man, we are forging a championship here, as this is only the second round of 7. Anything else to add, Ryan?
No, just see you guys out here for the top 16 and ready for some good action tonight. It's going to be a good one under the lights here at Road Atlanta. It always is.
And as far as the schedule goes, once again, we'll see you back here 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just if you're watching internationally, take note. It is currently 5:30. That means in just about 2 hours, we'll kick off our national anthem opening ceremonies. Some special guests are in the building. But thank you for joining on behalf of Laurent Nickel, Ryan Sage, and Jared Dandy. We'll see you in 2 hours here at the second round of 7 of 10 of the World Championship, the Formula Drift Championship, presented by GoPro.